Review of Welcome to the Outcast's Restaurant. Episode 4 Introduction. Welcome to the Outcast's Restaurant, adapted from Yuki Kimikawa's light novel, has emerged as a delightful surprise in the summer 2025 anime season, blending culinary comfort with themes of redemption in a fantasy world where exiles find solace through food. Episode 4, titled, Then, I'll Have the Daily Special, released on July 24, 2025, shifts focus to Backhel, a downtrodden adventurer, and her encounter with Dennis's sanctuary for the marginalized. Following Episode 3's exploration of Vivia's past and the restaurant's growing reputation, this episode delves into the emotional scars of exploitation. I found myself deeply moved by the episode's tender portrayal of despair and recovery, a heartfelt meal that nourishes the soul while hinting at spicier conflicts ahead. It's a chapter that serves up warmth with a side of righteous anger, leaving me hungry for more. Concise summary building on Episode 3's emphasis on Vivia's redemption through Dennis's cooking. Episode 4 introduces Backhel, an overworked and abused member of the Night Mist Party, who arrives at the Outcast's restaurant in a state of utter exhaustion. Atelier insists Dennis feed her, sparking a moment of joy amid her tears. Flashbacks reveal Bachel's promising magical talent squandered by her exploitative guild. Her despair culminates in a suicide attempt, thwarted by Henrietta and Vivia's heroic intervention. Night Mist's leader, Hopper, confronts Dennis, threatening the restaurant, but Katie's timely arrival, Dennis's former comrade from the Silver Wing Battalion, forces Hopper to retreat. The episode closes with Backhel finding tentative hope, as Dennis serves his daily special once more. In-depth analysis plot progression. Episode 4 advances the narrative by expanding the restaurant's role as a haven for the exploited, introducing Backhel as a symbol of the fantasy world's harsh guild system. The suicide attempt and Katie's intervention are major turning points, highlighting the restaurant's transformative power while hinting at Dennis's influential past. Hopper's threat raises new questions about potential retaliation from powerful guilds, resolving little from prior episodes but reinforcing the overarching theme of outcasts uniting. I think the episode effectively fulfills its role by humanizing the world's underbelly, though I didn't like the rushed resolution to Hopper's confrontation, which feels too convenient. The pacing is deliberate, allowing emotional beats to breathe, but the flashback sequences slow the momentum slightly, making the middle feel drawn out. I really appreciated the escalation from personal despair to external threat, but I wish the guild conflict had more immediate consequences. Character development. Bachelor, Dennis, Atelier, Henrietta, Vivia, and Katie are central, with Hopper as a key antagonist. Bachel's flashback reveals a gifted mage reduced to drudgery, her laughter turning to tears, showcasing a profound internal conflict between hope and resignation, voiced with heartbreaking authenticity. Dennis remains the stoic cook, but his refusal to intervene directly, claiming he's only a cook, adds nuance to his reluctance to wield his past power, consistent with his exile backstory. Atelier's insistence on helping Backhel highlights her compassionate core, while Henrietta and Vivia's heroic save demonstrates their growth into a supportive family. Katie's arrival, with her bold personality, hints at Dennis's history in the Silver Wing Battalion, suggesting untapped strength. Their actions are consistent, showing subtle growth in Bachel's tentative hope. I really appreciated Bachel's arc, but I didn't like Hopper's one-dimensional villainy, which lacks motivation beyond greed. The characters are engaging, but I hope for more layered antagonists. Themes and messages. The episode explores themes of redemption, community, and the abuse of power. Bachel's journey from despair to hope reinforces redemption, conveyed through the restaurant's nurturing environment, a metaphor for healing through kindness. Community shines in the group's collective rescue, emphasizing that no one is truly alone among outcasts. The abuse of power is critiqued through Night Mist's exploitation, mirroring real-world workplace toxicity. I found the redemption theme particularly moving, as Bachel's tears over the meal symbolize emotional nourishment, though I'm against the simplistic resolution via Katie's intimidation, which undermines the critique of power imbalances. The episode uses character interactions, like Atelier's empathy, to convey its messages, but I think it could have delved deeper into systemic issues for greater impact. The themes are heartfelt but feel somewhat idealized. World building. The episode introduces elements of the fantasy world's guild system, portraying Night Mist as a corrupt organization that exploits talent, contrasting with the Silver Wing Battalion's implied prestige. The restaurant's location as a sanctuary for exiles adds cultural depth, suggesting a society that discards the weak but allows spaces for recovery. Bachel's magical background, with her wind spells and skipped grades, expands on Phi's educational structure. I think this enriches the world's social hierarchy, though I didn't like the lack of detail on guild regulations, which leaves the system vague. The episode's focus on urban settings like the bell tower hints at architectural grandeur, but I wish it had explored the guild's history or the exiles' subculture more. The world feels vibrant but under underdeveloped, teasing potential for future expansion. Dialogue and writing. The dialogue is natural in intimate moments, like Bachel's tearful confession, which feels authentic and impactful. However, I didn't like Hopper's threats, which lean into cliched villainy with over-the-top posturing. The writing excels in emotional flashbacks, capturing Bachel's fall from promise to drudgery, but I think it struggles with pacing exposition, making guild dynamics feel told rather than shown. The script is strongest in character-driven scenes, like the meal's cathartic effect, but falters in action, with the rescue sequence relying on convenient timing. Overall, the writing is charming but uneven, needing tighter integration of conflict. Technical and artistic analysis. Animation and visual quality. OLM's animation is serviceable, with fluid facial expressions capturing Bachel's emotional shift from despair to tentative joy, particularly in her laughter turning to tears. The character designs, adapted from Gao's illustrations, are expressive, with Bachel's worn robes conveying her exhaustion. The bell tower scene's dramatic heights are visually striking, though the restaurant interiors feel static, lacking detail. I really appreciated the meal's appetizing glow, but I didn't like the inconsistent background quality, which appears rushed in guild scenes. The quality is consistent but not exceptional, with emotional moments shining over action, direction, and cinematography. Juji Shimura's direction uses close-ups to amplify Bachel's anguish on the bell tower, building tension effectively. A high-angle shot during her fall conveys vulnerability, while the editing in the rescue is crisp, heightening drama. The composition in the restaurant scenes, with warm lighting on the food, contributes to a cozy mood, contrasting the guild's cold shadows. I really appreciated the emotional framing, but I think the direction could have used more dynamic angles to elevate the confrontation with Hopper. The cinematography supports the storytelling's warmth but plays it safe, missing bolder visual flair. Soundtrack and sound design. The score, with gentle piano motifs during Bachel's meal, underscores emotion without overpowering, while the bell tower's wind effects add atmospheric tension. Sound effects, like the sizzle of fried shrimp, are appetizing and immersive. I really appreciated the silence during Bachel's confession, letting the voice acting shine, but I think the soundtrack's repetitive soft themes in quieter scenes feel monotonous. As Welcome to the Outcast's Restaurant continues its summer 2025 run, Episode 5, aired on July 31, 2025, anchors itself in the series' early arc, where Dennis and Atelier solidify their diner as a haven for misfits in a fantasy world. This episode centers on a culinary festival in the rural town of Seltz, where the duo competes to elevate their diner's reputation. Transitioning from Episode 4's focus on resolving a magical beast invasion, this installment leans into lighter, character-driven storytelling. I found myself charmed by its blend of humor, warmth, and subtle character growth, though it occasionally risks feeling too comfortable in its cozy formula. It's an episode that simmers with heart, leaving me curious about how its small victories will shape the diner's future. Following the high-stakes beast battle in Episode 4, Episode 5 shifts to a more grounded narrative as Dennis and Atelier prepare for Seltz's annual Harvest Festival, a culinary competition drawing local chefs. The episode follows their efforts to craft a standout dish, a magical urban-fused stew, while navigating quirky rival chefs and a mischievous young judge, Lila. A subplot involves a new patron, a reclusive alchemist named Gert, who bonds with Dennis over shared culinary passions. The festival culminates in a close victory for the diner, boosting its fame, while Gert's decision to stay as a regular hints at an expanding community. The episode ends with a mysterious letter arriving for Atelier, setting up future drama. Episode 5 serves as a breather after the action-heavy Episode 4, focusing on the diner's growing influence rather than advancing the overarching plot dramatically. The festival victory is a minor but meaningful step, reinforcing the diner's role as a community hub. The introduction of the letter at the episode's close, addressed to Atelier and bearing the Wargestad family seal, is the most significant plot development, raising questions about her noble past. I think the episode fulfills its role as a transitional chapter, grounding the series in its cozy roots while planting seeds for future conflict. However, the lack of major revelations makes it feel somewhat self-contained, which might frustrate viewers craving more narrative momentum. The pacing strikes a near-perfect balance for a slice-of-life episode. The festival preparations and cooking scenes flow smoothly, with just enough tension from rival chefs to keep things engaging. I appreciate how the episode avoids rushing, allowing character interactions to breathe, though the final judging scene feels slightly protracted, lingering on Lila's antics longer than necessary. Dennis and Atelier remain the core focus, with Gert and Lila as notable supporting players. Dennis's culinary expertise shines, revealing a meticulous side as he experiments with magical herbs. His patience with Lila's pranks, "I've dealt with worse critics," he quips, shows a growing confidence in his role as a chef, though I wish the episode had explored his past as an adventurer more deeply. Atelier Atelier, meanwhile, displays a playful competitiveness, particularly in her banter with rival chef Marissa. Her subtle unease upon receiving the letter hints at unresolved trauma, adding depth to her cheerful demeanor. I really appreciate how her actions remain consistent with her established optimism, yet the episode subtly foreshadows her inner conflict. Gert, the alchemist, is a welcome addition, his gruff exterior softening as he bonds with Dennis over a shared love of experimentation. His decision to stay feels earned, though I personally don't understand why his backstory is left so vague. It's a missed opportunity for richer character context. Lila, while entertaining, borders on caricature, her exaggerated mischief feeling less nuanced than the main cast's development. The episode emphasizes themes of community, creativity, and belonging. The festival underscores the power of food to unite disparate individuals, as seen in the diverse crowd enjoying Dennis's stew. Creativity shines through Dennis's innovative use of magical herbs, symbolizing the diner's ability to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. The theme of belonging is most evident in Gert's arc, as he finds a place among the diner's misfits. I found these themes effectively conveyed through small, heartfelt moments, like Atelier's smile as she serves customers, though the episode occasionally leans on familiar power of teamwork tropes, which slightly dilutes its originality. The episode expands the world subtly through the Harvest Festival, which introduces Seltz's vibrant local culture and its reliance on magical agriculture. The use of enchanted herbs, described as mana-infused basil, adds a layer to the world's magical ecosystem, suggesting a deeper connection between cuisine and sorcery. The brief mention of the Wargestad family via the letter hints at a broader political landscape, though I wish the episode had elaborated on this to tie it more firmly to the series' stakes. These elements enrich the setting without overwhelming the viewer, maintaining the show's cozy yet fantastical tone. The dialogue is lively and natural, particularly in Dennis and Atelier's banter, such as when Atelier teases, "You're not burning the stew again, are you?" The writing excels in humorous exchanges, like Gert's deadpan, "I've tasted worse poisons," when critiquing a rival's dish. However, some of Lila's lines, like her over-the-top, "This is culinary treason," feel cliched and disrupt the episode's otherwise grounded tone. I didn't like how the writing occasionally relies on expository dialogue to explain the festival's rules, which feels unnecessary given the visual storytelling. Overall, the writing is strong but could benefit from tighter editing to avoid redundancy. OLM's animation remains a highlight, with fluid character movements and expressive designs. The cooking scenes are a visual treat, with vibrant close-ups of simmering stews and glowing herbs that capture the magical essence of the cuisine. The art style stays true to the light novel's aesthetic, with warm, earthy tones for Seltz's festival setting. A standout moment is the overhead shot of the bustling festival, alive with colorful stalls and crowds. However, I noticed minor inconsistencies in background character designs, which occasionally appear rushed. The animation quality is consistently high, enhancing the episode's charm. Episode 5 evokes joy and warmth, with the festival's vibrant energy and the diner's small victory creating a feel-good atmosphere. Gert's integration into the community was a particularly touching moment, stirring a sense of belonging. The letter's arrival sparked curiosity and slight unease, hinting at looming challenges. I found the episode's focus on small, human connections deeply satisfying, though its light tone left me wanting more emotional weight. It leaves a lasting impression as a charming pause in the series, prompting reflection on how shared passions can forge unexpected bonds. The episode's core philosophical lesson is that community is built through shared creativity and acceptance. Dennis and Atelier's efforts to create something extraordinary at the festival, and Gert's acceptance into their circle, underscore the idea that belonging stems from mutual effort and openness, not just circumstance. As Welcome to the Outcast's Restaurant progresses through its summer 2025 season, Episode 6, aired on August 7, 2025, marks a pivotal moment in the series' narrative arc. The anime, a heartfelt fantasy gourmet fusion, follows Dennis, a betrayed adventurer turned chef, and Atelier, a noblewoman cast out from her family, as they run a diner that attracts a colorful cast of misfits. This episode shifts focus from the diner's cozy routine to a deeper exploration of Atelier's past, delivering a blend of emotional weight and plot progression that sets the stage for future conflicts. I found myself captivated by the episode's ability to balance personal drama with subtle world building, though it occasionally stumbles in pacing. It's a chapter that dares to dig into the heart of its characters, leaving me both moved and intrigued about what lies ahead. Following the lighter, character-driven focus of Episode 5, where Dennis and Atelier continue to build their diner's reputation, Episode 6 takes a dramatic turn by delving into Atelier's backstory. The episode opens with the arrival of Stevens, a former butler of the Wargestad family, who reveals that Atelier is the rightful heir to her family's legacy. Displays replaced by her uncle Joseph's machinations. Dennis and Atelier journey to the capital, Otto, to confront this past in a court hearing that tests her claim to her inheritance. The trial reveals a conspiracy involving falsified evidence, leading to a heated confrontation where Dennis nearly unleashes catastrophic magic in defense of Atelier. Ultimately, Atelier inherits a trove of magical texts, hinting at her family's deeper significance. The episode closes with the duo planning to share these treasures with their diner's community, reinforcing the show's theme of found family. Episode 6 significantly advances the main plot by shifting the focus from the diner's day-to-day operations to Atelier's noble heritage, a thread only hinted at in prior episodes. The revelation of her father's will and the subsequent trial serve as major turning points, confirming Atelier as the legitimate heir to the Wargestad family's wealth and magical legacy. This development raises new questions about her uncle Joseph's influence and the true extent of the family's power, particularly their connection to rare hypnotic magic. I think the episode effectively fulfills its role within the arc by transitioning from the diner's microcosm to a broader societal conflict, though it leaves many questions unresolved, such as Joseph's ultimate fate and the implications of Atelier's inheritance. The pacing, however, feels uneven at times. The first half, with its travel and courtroom setup, moves briskly, but the trial itself lingers on repetitive dialogue, slowing the momentum. I found the climactic confrontation, where Dennis nearly nukes the kingdom, as one source aptly put it, to be a thrilling escalation, but its resolution feels rushed, with the conspiracy unraveling too quickly to fully savor the stakes. Despite this, the episode's ability to pivot from cozy to intense keeps it engaging, even if it doesn't always strike a perfect balance. Atelier and Dennis are the heart of this episode, and both reveal new layers. Atelier, previously defined by her quiet resilience, grapples with the pain of her exile and the pressure of reclaiming her birthright. Her hesitation to return to Otto, "I don't want to go," she says softly, reveals a vulnerability that deepens her character, making her more than just a cheerful sidekick. Her decision to share the inherited magical texts with the diner's patrons reflects a selfless growth, prioritizing community over personal gain. I really appreciate how her arc avoids cliches of noble reclamation, instead focusing on her emotional conflict. Dennis, meanwhile, showcases both his protective instincts and his latent power. His near-catastrophic outburst in the courtroom, where he threatens to burn them all, reveals a fiercer side beneath his laid-back chef persona. I think his actions are consistent with his established loyalty to Atelier, but I personally don't understand why the narrative pulls back from exploring the consequences of his outburst more deeply. It feels like a missed opportunity to delve into his internal struggle. Supporting characters like Stevens and the judge, Sestapik, add depth to the world but remain somewhat one-dimensional, serving more as plot devices than fully realized figures. The episode weaves themes of justice, identity, and found family into its narrative. The trial underscores the corrupting influence of power, as Joseph's manipulation of the court highlights systemic flaws in the kingdom's legal structure. Atelier's journey reflects a search for identity, as she navigates her past as a noble and her present as an outcast. The theme of found family shines in the closing moments, where Atelier chooses to share her inheritance with her diner community, reinforcing the idea that true wealth lies in connection, not status. I found this message poignant, though the execution sometimes leans on familiar tropes, like the villainous uncle, which slightly dulls its impact. This episode enriches the world by introducing the Wargestad family's connection to hypnotic magic, a rare and powerful ability tied to bloodlines. The discovery of ancient magical texts, described as World Heritage level, hints at a deeper history of magic and its societal role. The capital, Otto, is depicted as a bustling hub, contrasting with the rural diner setting, and the courtroom scenes reveal a rigid, hierarchical society. I appreciate how these elements expand the world without overwhelming the viewer, though I wish the episode had lingered more on the magical text's significance. Perhaps a brief glimpse of their contents could have added intrigue. The dialogue is a mixed bag. Atelier's emotional lines, like her reluctant, "I'll go if Dennis comes," feel natural and heartfelt, capturing her inner turmoil. However, the courtroom exchanges often fall into expository traps, with characters like Stevens delivering lengthy backstories that feel more like plot dumps than organic conversation. I didn't like how some lines, particularly Joseph's smug taunts, veer into cliché villainy, undermining the episode's otherwise nuanced tone. The writing shines most in quieter moments, like Dennis and Atelier's banter, which carries a warmth that anchors the episode's heavier themes. The animation, handled by OLM, maintains a consistent quality, with fluid character movements and expressive facial designs. The courtroom scenes use dynamic angles to heighten tension, particularly during Dennis's magical outburst, where swirling energy effects are visually striking. The art style remains faithful to the light novel's aesthetic, with vibrant colors for Otto's cityscape contrasting the diner's earthy tones. However, I noticed some inconsistency in background details during the trial, where crowd shots feel static and lack depth. Overall, the visuals enhanced the storytelling without stealing the spotlight. This episode evoked a mix of empathy, tension, and hope. Atelier's reluctance to face her past stirred sympathy, while Dennis's protective fury sparked excitement, though I was frustrated by the rushed resolution of the trial. The discovery of the magical texts was a thrilling, hopeful moment, suggesting a brighter future for the diner. The episode's lasting impression lies in its exploration of Atelier's identity. She's not just a victim but a figure reclaiming her agency. It prompted me to reflect on how past traumas shape present choices, a theme I anticipate will deepen in future episodes. The episode's core philosophical lesson centers on the idea that true legacy transcends material wealth. Atelier's decision to share her inherited magical texts reflects a belief that knowledge and connection outweigh power and status. It suggests that personal growth arises from embracing one's roots while forging a new path, a lesson that resonates universally.